Hello. I wanted to make a video about this a little while ago, but it kind of skipped my mind. I just suddenly remembered it now, so here we are. We're going to talk about why you need to touch mud, why you need to get dirty. Simple as that. Now, I personally find it interesting that before I continue, I just want to say I'm not here to preach to you. I'm not trying to tell you you're a bad person, you need to change yourself. I just want to mention something in the Bible from a secular point of view. That's it, okay? I'm not here to preach to you. I don't do that. King Solomon, when he was going on his endless lamentation of how meaningless life is and that everything is a vanity and a chasing after the wind, this is a man who was so rich that in his kingdom, you see this jar of weed right here? Imagine this whole thing is a chunk of pure, refined silver, okay? If you're in America, you know how you see a penny on the ground and you have that thought in your head of like, should I even spend like the 1/8 of a calorie to bend over and pick up the 1 penny? Is that even worth my time? People left chunks of silver this big in the street and didn't bother picking them up because it's just silver. Are you kidding me? Why even waste my time picking that up? I could be picking up this gold and the scintillating, beautiful metals that we have all around here that are worth more than silver. Chunks of silver were just sitting in the street. No one even bothered to pick them up. It wasn't just King Solomon that was rich. Through his wisdom and what he did with his kingdom, everyone was prosperous to that degree. I think that's pretty cool. Now, again, this is a man who could do everything. He had everything. Point for point, he was, in fact, richer than John D. Rockefeller. And he was like, I have built oases, I have built all these pools, I've put all these additions onto the royal palaces, I've done all these things, I've built, the temple of God. But pretty much everything is just meaningless, man. There's only 2 things that matter in a person's life: enjoying what they eat and what they drink, and finding satisfaction in the work of their hands. These are gifts from the Almighty God. They are not natural. I've always vibed with that, personally. I do a lot of work outside. I worked a lot on job sites, construction sites, in the cabinet shop. I'm used to getting dirty and covered in grease, sawdust, wood glue, varnish, primer, all kinds of stuff like that. But the thing I love the most, honestly, is just gardening. I love being outside. I love touching dirt and getting mud on my skin. And I've always just attributed it to that gift from God that I can enjoy because God has created us in a unique way. But as it turns out, there might be a little bit more of a scientific basis behind that entire notion. Granted, it wasn't so much the case in the time that King Solomon wrote these things, or even really at the point when the Bible itself first got put together. It still wasn't quite that case. What am I talking about? I'm talking about Mycobacterium vaccae, a parasitical bacteria that is completely beneficial to humans. You ever see that Futurama episode where Fry eats the really weird egg salad sandwich and now he's a Superman and all the bacteria and stuff in him is jazzercising his muscles and making him super smart? Well, it's not quite like that, but it's in that same vein. Mycobacterium vaccae is in 98% of all soil on the face of the planet at this point. As I recall, it initially was in like, oh gosh, what the heck was that place? It's like between Turkey and India. It was in that region when aurochs first started getting bred and turned into the modern cows that we know today. Beef cattle and dairy cows. We created those out of aurochs. And when that was like first going on, and like the merchant class would be walking around with all kinds of livestock from one town to another and that type of thing, what was happening from the spread of these new domesticated bovines is, hey, they have magical effing poop apparently. How about that? And that is where the spread of Mycobacterium vaccae initially came from. At this point, because bovines have spread all over the world so much, it is literally everywhere. This stuff like festers in mud and dirt and soil and that sort of thing. And it covers almost the entire planet at this point. There's very few places where you can find dirt that Mycobacterium vaccae is not present in at this point in time. And I have suffered from chronic depression for pretty much most of my life, about 32 years at this point. And the big thing that I noticed is the times when the depression doesn't have any hold over me at all is after I've been really dirty outside. After I've had to, do some gardening, had to, transplant a tree into the ground, that sort of thing. I always feel fantastic afterwards. I'm in good spirits. And that's when I first learned about Mycobacterium vaccae. You want to know what it does? You want to know how it works? In just like the most basic form, it's a little scary and frightening. This stuff, once it touches your skin, especially if it's hydrolyzed, as in if you're touching mud, touching dirt and water, and it gets on your skin, or even if you're just sweating and you got some dirt on you, it takes 10 seconds for it to seep through your skin, enter your bloodstream, and go all the way to your head, where it's allowed to pass through the blood-brain barrier, the thing that exists to make sure that, infectious things aren't allowed in there. But the blood-brain barrier is like, oh, Mycobacterium vaccae, you on the VIP list, bro. You can go straight in, go wherever you want, do whatever you want. That seems kind of horrifying, that a parasitical bacteria can get into your brain within 10 seconds of touching mud. You want to know what it does to you, though? It goes into the parts of your brain where you generate serotonin and dopamine, and it plugs a NOS tank into them and opens the valve to max. That's literally all it does. Has no negative side effects whatsoever. All it does is promote your brain to making the happy chemicals a lot more efficiently and in larger quantities than it normally would. That's pretty cool, don't you think? I mean, I've been going to see psychiatrists, shrinks, all kinds of stuff throughout my life. They've put me on multiple kinds of antidepressants, all that kind of stuff. You know what honestly just works the best for me? Just touching mud, dude. Literally don't need to do anything else. I invite you to try it. If you've been maybe feeling a little down, anxiety's been getting a hold of you a little bit much lately, go find some mud, bro. Find a dirt lot somewhere and bring a bottle of water with you. Dump it on the ground. Roll up a ball of mud and just smear it along your hands, on your wrists, a little bit on your forearms. And then just use the rest of the water in your water bottle. Wash it off. That's all you got to do. That's it, literally. Guarantee you. You ain't going to be sad for a little while. Anytime I mention this to people, and I have mentioned this to many people over the years, this is just the most basic way I can put this. Have you ever in your life seen an infantile child playing in a puddle of mud who looked sad? Or did they look like the happiest person you've ever seen, having the greatest time of their life? Why do you think that is? I'm just saying. I personally believe that the advancement of society has done a real number on our ability to continuously stay happy. The metrosexualized city living that so many people find completely normal is so completely removed from something so basic. It's getting dirty. Everyone's afraid of it now. Oh, can't get dirty. No. My shoes can't touch grass. Seriously, everyone's such a pansy. Everyone has removed themselves so far from nature. It's no wonder that there's so much critical depression and suicide everywhere these days. Literally, all you gotta do is go touch mud, bro. For a few seconds. You don't even have to be. You don't have to be messing around in it all day or nothing. Although, I mean, it's pretty good for you if you do. But no joke, man. I've been around the block a couple times. I've taken plenty of those pills. And frankly, I'd rather just touch mud. It works better. Don't have no side effects. Anyway, that's what I got for you. If you feel like you've been going through it lately, do yourself a favor. Touch some mud. Guarantee you. Go fix you right up. That's all you gotta do. Don't cost you nothing. Don't gotta have no appointment. Don't have to sit around in a waiting room for 45 minutes doing nothing. Just go touch mud. Done Delaruski. I hope some of you actually try it. Promise you. It's good for you. Thanks for listening. Appreciate your time. God bless.